Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Admiral Markets. My name is Chris. Today we're going to focus on the Forex market and take a look at some other instruments in this live webinar on 12th of January. Before we kick off and take a look at the charts, though, be aware that this webinar is intended or is shown to a global audience, but may not be suitable for everyone. Take a look at the link, select your country of residence, and contact the appropriate entity to find out more if it is suitable for you and other details. Also, please be aware that trading for exchange and other financial markets is high risk and may not be suitable for everyone. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. This webinar is not advice and is for informational and educational purposes only. By continuing watching this webinar, you agree with this disclaimer, plus you're aware of the risk involved when trading. Alrighty, just in case you're not aware, Admiral Markets has a web trader. That's new. You can look at trading platforms and you can find web trader, which means that basically you can trade from the browser. You don't have to necessarily need any software at all. You could just use your browser from any place, any PC that you feel comfortable with, obviously, and trust, and you can trade. Or you can use MetaTrader 4, and in that case, you got a Supreme Edition from Admiral Markets with a lot of extras, as you can see here, a correlation matrix, alarm manager, sentiment, uh, money management box, all these kind of things. Alrighty, so last week was a big week with a lot of news events, basically FOMC statements, kind of saying in a way that there was a few members that did have a few doubts about it raising it, but others managed maybe to convince them that it was time to do it and let's say make that step. So the rate did go up, but the NFP caused some ups and downs, but nothing really major from price point of view. NFP was not that bad, I think, pretty good number, but we saw some ups and downs, nothing really major. This week we have tomorrow we have an interesting news event. That was China data, I think, coming to be released. That could always be interesting to see how that's developing and might have some impact on equities. Today we got some pound news. As you can see here, Bank of England governor speaking, if I remember correctly, today as well. But you got some typical pound news. And let's see, dollar. Yeah, here, Bank of England governor speaking indeed. Nothing really major. You got some uh, Fed people speaking, but I don't think that is medium. Nothing major. Well, and then tomorrow you got Aussie employment. Thursday you got a big one on the pound because that's their bank rate on the pound. That could be a biggie. And Friday we got retail sales on US. That's about it for this week. All right, market heat map got some stocks here in the upside, some downside stocks and commodities. And let's take a look at currency pairs. Ruble apparently a big mover. All right, let's see. Euro odd, downside, Euro New Zealand. Those were the biggest volatility pairs because they're the most to the right, but also they dropped a lot, almost 1%. So those could be very interesting to take a look. Pound yen, lots of volatility, pound odd too, and this pound yen, but they stayed around that zero level. So it means lots of ups and downs, but at the end of the day, not much net change. Aussie here, Aussie seems to be represented well to the up and down side. So that means a lot of weakness here. Strength, excuse me. The other way around, excuse me. Swiss here to the upside. So a lot of strength at the moment. Could keep that in mind. Anything else we can conclude from this table? Let's see, what is this one? Euro Swissy. No, that's about it, I guess. Here below her, let's take a look at the ranges. CAD number one. Wow, that doesn't happen too often. Pound second. Dollar very low. Aussie shared third. All right. Okay. So we got some information there from this table. Let's take a look at the market now. Hopefully you can hear me Well, if there's any problems with sound, if you don't hear me for a while, please let me know because last week we did have some sound problems, and I hope that those have been solved, but you never know. So if you don't hear me for more than 10 seconds, probably, please drop a message like "don't hear you," and I'll fix it. Do you hear me now, by the way? Sound is good. Great, great. Thanks, Bob. So let's take a look on. I mean, from a trending point of view, I think I was looking already, scanning beforehand, and I think the Aussie is AUD is trending, the dollar CAD is trending, and the pound CAD. I didn't check, all the miners like New Zealand CAD. That one could be trending too. I looked at it, let's say a group of 12, 15, and from those, um, the dollar CAD and AUD seem to be trending the best. So we can definitely look at those two pretty quickly. Do want to still start with the euro dollar. And the euro dollar is pushing up again after a bit of a bearish day yesterday. All right, but if you look at this fib, you see the upside here and price bouncing off the 78.6 fib. This is what I think I mentioned yesterday. I'm pretty sure I did in the Monday video, is that that could be a bouncing spot here at the 61.8 or the 78.6 fib. But the 61.8 ultimately got a small bounce here, but not a big one. And price did fall to the 78.6 fib, as you can see, and made a pretty strong bounce now. All right, so there was a lot of confluence in this zone. I think there was a slight uptrend channel, obviously, on the hourly chart. Um, you have these trend lines coming in. This one was eventually broken, but let me get rid of this one. Sorry, there we go. But there was good reason for a bounce, and we did get the bounce. So maybe some of you are in that trade, and price then broke this trend line during Asian session and is now heading up. Um, the alternative would be, I think, to wait for a bit of a pullback here and take the next rebound up. If it makes that pullback, we never know. Obviously, it can continue. We'll take a look at lower time frames to see if that is a possibility or not. But in general, this currency pair has made lots of ups and downs. Made lots of, especially of course since the big spike up, has made a lot of corrective three wave moves. It really hasn't gone all too far. The bottom here is 107. The top here range 110.50. Mostly prices stayed between 108 and 109.80. So the range here for at least more than 80% of the price is this tight range with two kind of small bursts to the up and downside. So for about 5-6 weeks, price has been within 180 pip range. So pretty tight, pretty large triangle. Also, if you draw these trend lines like this on the 4-hour chart. Definitely not a trend on the 4-hour chart. Definitely not a trend, I would say, even on the daily chart. Right? This is not a trend. Weekly, yes, still down. Monthly, yes, still down. But obviously not daily 4-hour. 1 hour slightly up, as we can see here. And the price does have maybe the potential to go up to that resistance. And let's see how price responds to that level. We got this resistance level right in here. Pretty strong, as you can see, 109.50-ish probably. Let me check. There we go, 109.38-ish, 37. Got a lot of resistance here. 1, 2, 3, 4 spots, 5, maybe even 6, because this is just a kind of a acceleration wick here above it. So you can see a lot of respect for that around that level, 109.25, 109.50, right? With the trend line coming in. So there is that space about to that zone, and then price might have some headache, obviously. And at the very minimum, I would expect a bull flag. And if we do get a bull flag, there could be a break. The other alternative could be again a three-wave correction. And we can make some downside. So those are, I think, the most two logical alternatives here at the resistance. So until we get to that spot, though, there could be that upside, right? I was talking about from the bouncing spot that we already talked about. So let's take a look at 50-minute chart now. Alrighty, you can see a bit of a upside, but yeah, it's kind of pause here, up, pause, slight up at the moment. Nothing all too exciting, I think. And the market will open in about 4 minutes. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I think that it's pretty simple for me. I don't see any alternative but to wait for a bit of a pullback. And the only thing that I would do on a 50-minute chart really is fib from bottom to top and wait for price to hook back to probably any of these 3 fibs. We got the 78.6 fib, which could be a bit of an inverse head and shoulders. Even this 50 fib has a level on the left here that could be used as support, maybe as well. And in general, if you look at the hourly chart, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles now breaking this bottom. So we're now in a high, let's say, a area that there's a higher chance of a retracement or reversal to the opposite side when you get above those 5 to 6. So if it makes a dip back, the chances of this bottom breaking, the chances of this bottom breaking are not too high, are small. So that's why on a dip back, I think it's a good opportunity for me to look for longs and place a stop loss below that 100% level at 108.40, because that's the level that doesn't seem likely to break. And put the stop loss there, look for a buy at the fibs, and look for a target and exit at the minus 61.8 target, which is equal to that level we already mentioned. So that's my 2 cents, I think, on the $0. Will it give the pullback? I don't know. But if it doesn't make the pullback, I don't care about this trade at all, because, okay, price could still make the upside and hit those targets, and that's it. And then I'll probably start thinking about looking maybe for a short here somewhere. And then it depends how long I'll stay in it. If it shows a bull flag, I'll get out of that short. If it makes an impulse, I'll hang in there for maybe a target. Let's see, around 108.75 probably. What I would do probably is put the fib from here to here. Maybe look for a 50 target or a 61.8 target. All right, if it makes something like this. If it makes a bull flag, I'll get out, because the bull flag could mean the opposite, right? Could be a continuation up. So if it continues and it continues and continues and continues, there is not a good trade, I think, to the upside here at this moment. And because the reward to risk is not good, the risk is down here, and the reward is just too tight. Could be different maybe on a 5-minute chart. Could be a 5-minute breakout. I mean, you never know. But considering the trend that I'm seeing here, it's not looking appealing at the moment, at least. Maybe on a 5-minute chart, if there is some kind of smaller bull flag and it breaks, the reward to risk could be there again. But at the moment, we don't have that. Any questions? I mean, I think that, so to simplify it, sometimes I talk maybe a bit too long about one scenario here, but simplify it. This was a good trade, good reward to risk, and if you're in that one, great job, just hang in there, and I would put it at break even, and that's it. If you're not in it or you want to scale in, I would look for a pullback, for a bounce up to this level. That could be, again, shorting territory, and depends how it moves after that, if it's worth hanging in or closing for break even. After that, it could be, again, a bounce up or breakout. Now, obviously, if it breaks through this level, well, then something else is going on, and there could be maybe a breakout to the downside. I'm not even going to talk about that scenario, but if it does happen, then the next support line is around 107.50. Yep, we can definitely take a look at the EUR. Pretty simple, right? Bounce off fib right here, break of the trend line, but that break has happened. So either it's a pullback or nothing. Right? Either you're in that trade, great. If you're not, we need a pullback. Otherwise, have to wait for the next setup. Can't chase everything. Otherwise, sometimes the reward to risk is not there. Can keep an eye on the 5-minute chart, as I said, but if there is some bull flag break. All right, that's my 2 cents on this one. Pound USD, strong downtrend. Yesterday, finally a bullish day, although there is a wick at top, but still massive bearish candles here, just pushing and pushing and pushing lower. Quite impressive. And there was a bit of a break this morning, and then a hook back. You can see that on the 5-minute chart pretty clearly. All right, break of this. It's a beautiful ascending wedge, perhaps like this, right? Or it depends how you draw it, but get my point. Flat bottom, and boom. Early break in the Asian session already. Went down for some 20, 15 pips. Not much. Pound dollar doesn't move that much in the Asian session. Made a hook back, is falling already, and is picking up some speed. Definitely a downtrend here, and this could be interesting for downside continuation. We do. Let me get. There's a lot of lines here. Let me simplify it a bit. We'll get rid of these. Makes it a bit easier, and this one too. Good. Alrighty. Obviously downtrend on all time frames here. Weekly, daily, 4-hour, 1-hour. Let's see, but on the hourly, there is a bit of a mini bottom here. Let's see how many 4-hour candles have not broken that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. That could be a bit of a bouncing territory. Yeah, I'm not. I think that maybe this pullback could have been okay, but now it's really pushing away from it. Makes it less desirable. I think that this is a station that has passed, so I think that doesn't make sense to look at it. If if anyone took it here, great, but otherwise it's a bit too late, I think, to hop in there. We can still keep an eye on it throughout the session to see if it makes some kind of pullback. If anyone sees it pull back into these bottoms to go up about here, let me know. If you see it pull back up to 145.25, 145.30 perhaps. Well, 25 is maybe pretty short, but it was a good break and pullback, but now it's trying to continue, and I don't think that's the best moment to hop in here with the bottom that close. Let's see if there's something better going on. Let's take a look at the Aussie indeed and the CAD. They were pretty trending. Aussie USD and Euro AUD is moving up. I'm actually in a Euro AUD as we speak from this morning on a different account, and it's been a bit slow, but now pushing nicely. And it's adding up pretty quickly here. The Euro AUD goes fast. It's already plus 86 pips. Wow. Doesn't seem like that, but the Euro AUD does move fast. That's always funny with this pair. If you do catch it, then those pips can roll up pretty quickly. It's amazing. I took the break here on a 5-minute chart of these tops. Bob got in last evening. Great. I'm going to use a bit more complicated template. So this one? No. All right. More moving averages, but wanted to take a look. All right. So let's quickly take a look at all these time frames here. 4-hour is an uptrend, right? But the only thing is that I would warn is it's maybe getting up to targets like this could be the ABC zigzag up, but otherwise it is an uptrend. Daily chart has gone into uptrend 2. and broken out of this resistance trend line clearly is moving up. All right, so that's all good news for upside. 1 hour chart broke above this too, so those are all good. Broke this triangle basically as well. So maybe Bob took it somewhere in the triangle at the bottom. That's always a very nice reward to risk trade, as you can see, because anyone who puts stop loss here and is buying it, let's say around here, you can see pretty tight, relatively tight, right, compared to the potential right now. Obviously, Euro odd typically has already a pretty quick stop loss, a big stop loss, because it's just a fast-moving pair like the pound, New Zealand, etc. All right, that's the hourly chart. And the hourly chart, if you look at the moving averages, they're aligned to the upside, as you can see. And prices, when it's above the 21 EMA, up 160 pips. Great job. 160, 55, 30. Nice. Beautiful entry. Great job, Bob. When price is above the 21 EMA, you can see that everything is aligned, looking at the moving averages, right? So now with this break here, price is again aligned. And this was the 1 hour breakout at 156.30. That's already up 60 pips, if anyone took that by any chance. And this was the first attempt. This is the second attempt. This is the first dip, or other ways saying it, this is the first and the second dip. When you get two dips, typically the continuation move after that is pretty solid. So when you have those two dips behind you, it's always a good feeling. It's never, nothing is a guarantee, but it's always good to see. So we had that on the Euro. And the close of the candle, actually the first candle close above the 21 EMA was this one, technically. But this one was a better candle. So, sometimes these things are a bit, can depend on one's interpretation, obviously. Technically, this was the one that actually did break above the 21 EMA. This one didn't, by the way, as you can see. This one did. This one did. Both closing above it. That is one of the signals I look at. The other signal is a fractal break. A break about this fractal, for instance, here. Alrighty. Then zooming into the 15, you can see basically price breaking above these fractals. Fractals especially good on lower time frames, I think, like a 15 or 5, like I took it on the 5. And basically, when I saw this consolidation in this uptrend, because when I looked at the multiple time frames, obviously big uptrend on 4 hour and 1 hour, I took a break of this top here, this mini top. Got a supportive material, got upside, correction, uptrend on the other time frames, and we got the continuation. A bit about that trail management is what I did personally was I moved eventually the trade to break even when I got this big 5-minute candle. This 5-minute candle might not seem that important to most of you, I guess, but it's a 56 candle 5-minute candle. 57-ish. For a 5-minute candle, that's massive, right? Even on the Euro, I mean, 5-minute candle with that type of high and low is something you probably see on a 4-hour chart on the Euro dollar, or at least the 1-hour chart, right? Massive candle. So I moved the stop loss below it because it's a master candle in my opinion. Couldn't see that break. Had it at break even. No, it didn't have it at break even yet, but yeah, I think, yeah, I did have it at break even. Let me check. Yeah, break even. And now I'm trail stopping these 5-minute lows. And I'm looking at the potential pivot point at 157.63 as a potential target. And that would give me plus 160. Now I am plus 96. It really goes fast. Almost 100. All right, my original risk was below this bottom at 650-ish, I think, 55, which is about 45 pips. So if I do reach 160, it's going to be about 4-to-1 trade. So that would be very pleasant. But let's see. Don't want to celebrate too soon. Obviously, it's not there yet. But I will trail stop these 5-minute fractals to lock in some profit. And now it's at plus 23. Alrighty, so that was a 5-minute breakout on the Euro odd that Bob mentioned. We saw here odd USD breakout, and I'm in that one too, but this one also has kind of left the station, unfortunately, so I don't want to bore you with trades that already have happened. But quickly, break of this bottom right in here, when the moving averages started to cross, they were not touching here at this point. That was good. And we had a kind of a couple of bottoms like this here. So break of that. And that's where I entered, I think, right on this one. Got a bit of a pullback with then continuation. When I got the big candle, I moved it right away to minus 3 pips or something like that. And now I'm trail stopping again the fractals and locking in a bit of profit there. And some of you, one person at least, was asking how it's possible to trail stop a trade so tightly, or in his opinion, it was very tightly. And because I made a video and explained what I was doing, and for this 5-minute trading at least, and the person thought that that was too tight. But the idea actually is I don't move it right away, right? I let the trade when I entered here. I don't immediately move the stop loss. I give it some time. I give it a few candles. Obviously, there could be a pullback. Sometimes it happens when you enter, you get the pullback right away. You can't close the trade right away when you get the pullback. That's not the point. But my point was in that video was that I want to keep the losses small and try to let those ones that do go run, right? I think that that's the logic, at least must make sense, right? Let big wins, small losses, right? So my practical way of doing that, because it sounds nice in theory, but how do you do that practically? My way of doing that practically is giving some time to the trade, but if it takes too long, time factor, then I'm definitely going to move into stop loss to cut the losses short. And if the trade then starts to go my way within the time I give, like 5 to 6 candles, right? And this was candle number 4, this was candle 5, great. So I got that big candle, boom, it's in my way. And then I'm going to reduce the risk as much as I can to above a big candle like that or fractal. Those, again, a moment that I use to get the risk off the table. I'm talking specifically about lower time frames now as well. But you could use it for higher time frames too, I'm not saying. But lower time frames, I think, are more vulnerable to ups and downs. And if you hang in there too long, it doesn't go your way, then it's almost the rule of thumb, like the Murphy's Law, that it's going to get against us. And once it's going my way, then it's like almost a risk-free trade, or it's at least a trade that, no nervousness needed, and it's going our way. You can kind of try to see what is a good TP or good trail stops, etc. And try to let the winner run. Don't try to cut it off too soon. I like moving to trail stop because I leave it up to the market to exit, and I'm not kind of like, if I exit, I might exit too soon. I like trails in a way because I let the market decide. All right. So this one has moved already. Let's take a look at the dollar CAD. It did move up, making seemingly a bit of a pullback at the moment. Uptrend on all time frames, at least the 4-hour and hourly, at least daily, weekly, obviously too. Probably time for a bit of a retracement here. Strong 4-hour candle. Let's see. Well, it's not that easy with price making continuous higher highs like this. When do you enter? I didn't see any entry on the dollar CAD myself this morning, so I still don't see it, to be honest. With the Aussie, I think it was pretty simple because You got a couple of good bottoms here. The structure of the market was a bit better, I think. You got a clear consolidation, and you got the moving averages spreading here, and you break below that. It's pretty clear. Dollar CAD, I'm not too sure here. Not at this moment. This morning there was nothing of a good break. No fractal. This fractal break, I didn't like at all. And I don't, yeah, it's maybe earlier, right? Yesterday somewhere, break of this trend line perhaps. I just don't see it at this moment. Maybe a pullback, just to a simple pullback like this, down to 78.6 fib could be still worth considering. The Kiwi is also falling nicely, by the way. Oh, great job, Knut. That's good to hear. If you're in it, yeah, it's great to trail stop it. I didn't take this one. It's just too similar to the Aussie, but definitely Kiwi break earlier as well. Nice break, falling only 27 pips. That's funny. It seems like a massive fall, but it's only 27. It's funny, but still good. I mean, it looks good, the break here, but you get the point. Good trend line, good triangle like this. Multiple trend line breaks here, in fact, on the 5-minute chart. And two very good downtrend on the 1 hour, 4 hour charts, right? Beautiful. Good momentum here. 4 hour chart, good momentum too. Was pretty sweet, I think. But that trade has happened too. What only thing I think could remain interesting is a pullback, probably. Excuse me. This is a good 1 hour candle, so maybe even a fib on this candle. We don't have any. Do we have any fractals here? No fractals. So I would probably prefer to move it from here to here, from the last fractal down to the next fractal. And we should get a lower high here. So even if price moves up, retraces, there should be a lower high. And if we don't get a lower low, but a higher low, that, and get some kind of triangle perhaps here, whatever. But somewhere shorting in here makes a lot of sense. And there's also a good chance it just follows through. So anywhere around this level, 61, 50 fib, we could get that lower high. That could be interesting. Something that I think, let me write this down. I'm scared I will forget it. So, and you pull back 50, 61.8. All right. Could the same be true for the Aussie? Let's take a look. Got the stop loss about here at the moment, locking in +8 or something. Well, probably the best would be a fib from here to here at this moment. Well, that's a pretty big fib, but it could retrace two fibs, this hourly candle, only this hourly candle, or this entire downside. It's not as clear as the Kiwi, I think. Kiwi has a very strong fall and no lower high. Aussie has a lower high here, but I think that this is too small of a fib. I'm using it here, but I still think it's on the small side. It's basically retrace an hourly candle, which is possible. I don't think it's a good scale-in position, though. I mean, if I'm already in it, so I'm just hanging in there and hope it turns. If I'm not in it, I don't think I would be looking to short right here yet. The Kiwi, it's a bit different because I think there has to be a lower high here. Right? Of course, it could always do something like a V form like that and then do like this. It's possible, I'm not saying, but somewhere a lower high here, whether it depends which fib, but somewhere at these fibs is a pretty high chance, I think. Aussie is not that clear, so I'll just hang in there and see if that it can turn. But the Kiwi could be something of a new trade. Dollar CAD, maybe the 78.6 fib I was saying. Euro odd falling quickly, unfortunately, but that can happen. Already 50 pips, that goes fast, doesn't it? And on the hourly, it's basically just retracing this candle. Same question as the odd USD. Is it retracing this entire swing, or is it only retracing this hourly? And the last hour's low is here. So if it's only retracing the hourly, the stop loss could go below the hourly candle. And it's a pretty tight stop loss already. Could be interesting. Just like the odds, it might be a bouncing spot. Don't use the 1 minute chart, but could be interesting to see if we get 1 minute bullish candle at these long-term moving averages. That could be already a bounce signal. Perhaps sometimes I use it, not very rarely, but or maybe waiting for this 1 minute moving average 8 EMA to turn bullish, and that could be a signal of a turnaround here, first turnaround. Time will tell. Obviously, it would be quite annoying to give up 70 pips, but I don't see any reason to change it now. I mean, that's too late. If I wanted to take profit, then I should have done it here. I didn't see any reason why I would stop necessarily there. I didn't see any pivot point. There was an M3 pivot point though. That's true. Oh well, what can you do? Those things happen. But at the moment, definitely very strongly falling. So I wouldn't, jump in any trade that has that momentum against it. But if it does show on a 5 minute bounce, it might be interesting. Has to show a bounce here though. And if it doesn't, then it could be retracing this entire swing, and it might fall deeper. Might fall back into this zone somewhere here, about halfway. Go back into this 21 EMA band. Probably bounce because there's a small little supply and demand zones. I would think that is a decent bouncing area. Again. So to me, upside seems a pretty good chance. 4-hour candle, let me double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the 8th candle, so it might not break this top though. The top is around 158.25. The R1 I was aiming is 157.60. So the R1 is below 60 pips below this top. That's great. The R2 is just a bit above that top. That's not so good. The M4, which is between the R1 and R2, is 158.03, which is just below that top. That's good. So 157.60. If it does turn 157.60, 158. Let's see if it turns. All right, I took a pound yen break this morning. But that was break even. We had one break of this trend line already, but that was not the break I took. I took it somewhere. This break here. So there was a break of this trend line, a break of this horizontal line, and a break of this horizontal line. I took it off that break. And let's see. I got out for break even somewhere. Let me check. Here indeed. When it dipped up here. So at this moment, price is retracing back up on the 5-minute chart. We do have good downtrends on all time frames. Got a good break. On hourly chart, you can see good downtrend. Price below the moving average. Moving average is aligned. Price below this trend line as well. Broke this trend line. So it could only be a pullback here as well. Let's see. 4-hour chart. Everything aligned as well. But the thing is that this has really lasted for an amazing number of pips to the downside. From a 4-hour perspective, I'm curious how far it could push, maybe one more break, but eventually I would expect a bit of a retracement here. But for a 5-minute world, that's less important probably. But from a 4-hour perspective, there's a chance of a bit of a pullback eventually. Right, this has lasted so long that at least once to break above this 21 EMA a bit, well, wouldn't be that shocking. Eventually, that could happen, right? So I'm not too. This is a massive downtrend. I'm just not sure if it's a good moment to short it. It's close to a minus 61.8 target. I tried it on a 5-minute chart earlier, but it is close to this target. It has a couple of bullish candles here, 5 to 6 candles not breaking this bottom. So having a bit of doubts about this 4-hour chart. It's obviously downtrend, but I'm just from a counter perspective, it's a bit, I would say, almost overstretched, oversold maybe. And it could fall, but is it worth trading? I really don't know. I think it's getting a bit risky to trade it again to the downside. My 2 cents. Maybe I'm, but as I said, it could fall. It's just, I think it's getting a bit risky with that. I tried it, but not going to try it again probably. This entire break is looking choppy as well, doesn't it? Not convinced. Not convinced. Let's see. Dollar yen. Sweet break of this very long-term trend line. Just a straight fall down back to the next horizontal support on this daily chart. And weekly chart support as well. And a break of that, we could see maybe a continuation of this downtrend, or downtrend on the daily, I should say, or 4-hour. Weekly is still an uptrend, monthly too, but that's very high time frames. So I think about that too much. Hourly, I mean, eventually we'll talk about an uptrend continuation scenario, I think, but let's do that in a different webinar. 4-hour chart at the target minus 272, making a pullback. And this one is also one of those not easy ones, like the pound yen, I would say the dollar yen, because it's just a lot of candles here around this level, making a bit of an inverted head and shoulders perhaps on the hourly. Maybe I'm too soon in seeing reversal signals, but here too, I tried a short, but again, also break even. It didn't go. Break of this trend line. I'm not sure if I took it there, but it did happen. Maybe I took it a bit earlier. Let's see. I think I took that break of this bottom here indeed. And I moved it above these tops and got taken out for break even. And you can see, I think it's good to, when it moves our way, either it goes and you get a big impulse in the 5-minute chart, and if it doesn't, most of the time it's going to retrace against us. Fact of life, probably on all time frames, in fact. And here too, I have some doubts about the downtrend at this moment. Maybe if it breaks the next support level, it could change this support level here. Around 117.20-ish. Maybe keep an eye on this bottom break. And then maybe we get a bigger breakout. Downtrend on 1 hour, 4 hour. but close to daily support and need to see follow through, I think. Alrighty. Euro yen. Downtrend too. Pretty simple, pretty good trending charts, pretty straightforward, I think. Not much complications with regard to the trend on many of these pairs. Many good triangles. So last week had some great trades, I think. This week, not yet. There was a good, I think, which Euro yen short yesterday, but I missed it. Right here, this fall, and that was a sweet one. Let's see. I didn't see it, unfortunately. Anyhow, now it's a bit of a consolidation. Triangle, downtrend, 4 hour. Let's take a look at the daily. Daily, just like the dollar yen, has a bit of a bottom here, but it's still not that close. All right, let's go back to the 5-minute chart. Bit choppy at the moment, right? Looking at this zone. Probably going to need, there's a clear bottom here, right? Around this level. $127.65.70-ish. I think we're going to need that to break. It breaks the trend line, roughly speaking. On 5-minute chart, it's not that accurate, but and those bottoms. And I would like to see his price probably fall down, pull those moving averages away from each other, because at the moment they're all intertwined. Fall, make a bit of a bounce, and then break. That would be, okay-ish, I think. Potential there, breakout. It's too soon now. It's too intertwined. All right, I'll write that down. EJ breakout. Bob just got out before that drop. Yeah, those are things that do, let's face it. I mean, it's difficult not to get annoyed with that. I mean, trades do come and go, of course, but still, that's a tough one indeed. So let me think about the pairs we didn't look at yet. Aussie is retracing steeply. I'm scared that. Aye. It's a pity, isn't it? From a 5-minute perspective, my euro odd is out. Ooh, also a tough, bitter pill to take. I think is a Dutch expression. But yeah, that's a sour one, obviously. A lot of pips up on a 5-minute chart, definitely. And maybe didn't think about it clearly enough. And 3 pivot point, it bounced off. Was up 2-1. Oh well, that's something that I can definitely think about a bit more deeply during my evaluation. But not sure if I didn't have a webinar what I would have done then. But maybe I don't know. I don't have a fixed. My training plan doesn't specify a place I have to take TP. It's my discretionary call. So I know. I definitely didn't think about at the time. I definitely didn't think about closing it, and I definitely was aiming for our one. Right? What can you do? Let's see. What else did we not look at? The pound, the euro, New Zealand, right? Pound, euro, New Zealand. Let's take a look. Well, both uptrends, also on higher time frames. Similar story, really, like the euro odd and pound odd. Got those breaks and got those breaks here. Oh, we talked about the euro odd. No, sorry, euro New Zealand, pound New Zealand, excuse me. and now making a pullback. Get rid of this moving average. Now, the uptrend on the pound is that we have to have a bit of a cautionary asterisk here because it's bringing us to resistance levels, previous bottoms, and on a 4-hour chart, we're actually at the long-term moving average. Yes, it's uptrend. Do I want to take the break to the upside? No. Too close to resistance. It might move up. Not worth it from my experience. Here in New Zealand, it's a bit different. Choppy, but in an impulse to the upside. That's important on a 4-hour. Looks better. So the Euro New Zealand, I think, and we see that, of course, in the Euro Pound is moving up. Pound weakness, Euro definitely showing more strength. So Euro New Zealand could be a bit different. This pullback might make sense, like the Euro odd. Still makes sense to pull back. It just, let's see how deep it goes. Keep an eye on this 50-minute chart probably now, because now it shows 15-minute bearish candles, 15/5. We'll now look at the 1 minute anymore. And see if it bounces somewhere in this zone. Euro New Zealand could make that same bounce. So it's probably about the same play as the Euro odd. Could take a look at the odd New Zealand to see if there's any difference. And pound odd is looking choppier than the Euro odd too. So I wouldn't be that much interested in pound odd, pound New Zealand. Euro odd, Euro New Zealand look better. Take a look at the odd New Zealand to make a decision between those. Dollar CAD is at the 61.8 fib. Previous candle was bearish. So might want to keep an eye on, with this bearish candle in mind, I want to see a bullish 15-minute candle or a break of this 15-minute low, and then a 5-minute bounce off of a 78.6 fib. So still wait for some signal of a bounce. This is not looking, this is an uptrend, but at the moment we're seeing a retracement. I don't see any clue that retracement is necessarily over at the moment. Don't have to wait for a clue, but I don't want to buy it necessarily right here. It could be worth it to buy it here. I don't know. But I think it's not good enough for myself, at least. Kiwi is making that retracement that we were talking about up to the 38.2 fib. Let's see if it can get higher. I want it to be a bit deeper, personally. Odd USD did not take me out as yet. And let's see. Hit the 38.2 fib as well. But strong bullish candles. And that's probably something I wouldn't want to short into right away. I would like to see probably a bit of a 50-minute candle reaction here probably. I'm not sure if 5 minutes is enough for that. I would like to, no, I'm keeping, with this momentum here, I want to keep an eye on the 15 now. Personally, 15-minute chart on dollar CAD, 15 on odd USD at the very minimum here. Kiwi, probably 15 too. And waiting for a continuation to the downside on the Aussie, waiting for a pullback to finish on the Kiwi, waiting for continuation on the dollar CAD perhaps. Will we get it? I don't know. Let's see. Same for the Euro odd or Euro New Zealand. Euro yen breakout if it happens. Pound yen not. Pound yen probably breakout 2 of this bottom. Dollar yen breakout 2 if it happens. Pound dollar, I said pullback. And we got the pullback, but it's stronger than I expected, so I would get out. If anyone did take the pullback, I would get out for break even or -1 pip, whatever. This does not look that great to me. just a sideways zone. It's knocking on resistance and it looks pretty momentum. I mean, this bar looks like a pretty good momentum bar. I don't know. It would be enough for me to be, to be cautious with the downside here. Euro dollar. Let's see. Wow, went down to the 50 fib. I'm not sure if anyone saw that. Close to the 50 fib. Probably would have just missed it here. And it's bouncing already. I was obviously looking at other pairs, but maybe some of you caught that 50 fib. It's a small fib, obviously, and it would have had to be a fib trade, because if you wait for a price reaction, it's too late. It's already moving away. That's sometimes a disadvantage. If you wait for a price reaction, but it's moving fast. And if it's a 5-minute candle like this, could maybe be worth even, let's see, waiting for a bit of a retracement of that 5-minute candle. Halfway maybe, 108.82. And trying to get kind of a mini bounce within this bigger bounce. I mean, if this 5-minute candle closes, I think that this probably was the retracement. I think that is a pretty good chance that was the retracement that we mentioned that could happen. I don't think it will go deeper. You never know, unless it fails to break to the upside. Obviously, it could still go to the 61.8 fib, but it would at least take an hour of candles here that don't go anywhere, and then we might get that downside. This is the odd New Zealand. I think it's not that clear. I mean, well, one could say a lot of things for both sides. Obviously, the moving averages are aligned to the downside, yes. But this support level is pretty strong, I would say. 105-ish. Head and shoulder potential. Price is respecting that level. So it's definitely a downtrend, but it doesn't look that smooth at the moment with support pretty close by. Hourly seems to be very messy. Difficult to say on this one, I would say. I don't know. I really don't have any preference on this one. I think that, yes, it is a downtrend, but at the moment it's really caught between support and resistance, I think at least. All right, pound CAD was one of the ones I considered a strong trender, like the odd USD and dollar CAD, and we can see good break of this triangle. Everything is aligned here on hourly, 4-hour at least. All right, 50-minute chart, break of this top has occurred. and the 1 hour fractal. So that could be enough. In fact, the momentum is very strong. I think this could be actually worth it to take a long. I think I will do that. Let's see, with the stop loss below probably 1 hour bottom. To 0640-ish, 45, 43. Now for a 1 hour chart, that is obviously it's about a 60, 65 pips, which is not a small one, but for a hourly, not that bad, I guess. It is a big mover as well, so. If too many hourly candles do go sideways here, I would trail it and put it below these hourly candle lows and move it to minus 15 or minus 10 and try to make that stop loss as small as I can. Looking at that big 4 hour candle, I think a break of that candle high is pretty good chance. Plus, if you look at the candle numbers, 1, 2, 3, this is the fourth candles. So we're still in a, I would say, in a good optimum time zone for that continuation. It's a break of the fractal, get moving averages aligned. I think this is the pullback that you typically get, 38.2 fib. I think that there's a good chance of continuation here. All right, that's my 2 cents on this one. Target, last thing, target, of course. Let's see. Let's take a look at the pivot points. R1, 207, 85. Let's see, I got in at 207.10. 75 pips potential there at R1. Would give me a bit more than 1-to-1. Minus 272 target is at 208. Minus 61.8 targets, 2876. And that's the R2. I think 208.75 makes sense. Yeah. I would go a bit below that, obviously. 208.68 probably. But also use a trail. Trailing, well, at the beginning, trailing the lows, the candle lows. Especially if a candle like this closes. I would go right below the low, lock in, minus, what could it be? This is a low of 206.84, go to 206.77, which reduces the risk to about half. Used the lows until I'm in break even. Then I tend to give it a bit more space. Probably using these fractals on the hourly. But if it breaks above the R1 and it breaks above the 272 target, what could happen is this. And once it starts to break here, I would use a tightest trail again. So at the beginning, relatively tight to get into a break-even situation. Once it's a break-even, let it go. I would let it go up to the minus 272 target, give it a bit of space for the retracement. When that retracement is over, now I'm talking about this part. When that retracement is over, I would make it blue, we have the blue arrow. See if we get the continuation. If we get the continuation, we use tighter ones, like again, probably 15-minute fractals then, instead of 1 hour. As it heads up to the minus 61.8 target with a TP at the minus 61.8. And if it shows a 3-wave correction here and then bounces, we use that, as I said, use that bottom again to trail stop tighter, and then start using a 50-minute fractal trail as well. Now I know that not sure if that sounds logical to you, or maybe not. The idea behind it is trails tight at the beginning, get out of risk, give it some space, and then again move tighter. That's the logic behind it. Alrighty. Gold making a bit of retracement. And oil just falling and falling. Last week bearish candle, this week breaking last week's low already. Going through the bottom. Wow. Of 33 from 7 years ago. Ouch. Amazing to see it in the lower 30s here. It compared to 1.5 years ago when it was still 3 times as much, 100, above 100. The smack fall down to 45, bounce. Momentum was large, so we got the break of this bottom. But still one more break of a bottom, second break of the bottom here. This is the first, this is the second, and it continues. Very impressive. Gold is not making that downside like oil. Gold actually had an upside week, but obviously still in a downtrend channel. And what could be a good level to see maybe some downside yet again? These are all resistance spots. And if I put a fib on the retracement, these targets could be bounce spots again as well. Silver is just going sideways. And the S&P following oil with a big week down. And we're talking about this resistance that it's going to be interesting if it can break or bounce. And it took long, but it eventually bounced back down. And it broke kind of this smaller little triangle at the top of that resistance, didn't it? So yeah, that's interesting. NFP strong, but downside on these equities. And if you look at the monthly candles chart, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months not breaking this top. And around here, where the 6th, 7th month didn't break, the time factor rule that I have saying that, then it's getting a bit more difficult. And here's looking like that was pretty accurate as well. But of course, we still have a very big bottom down in here to deal with. Same thing on the DAX. All right, interesting developments. And tomorrow's Chinese data from China is going to be interesting for equities and the Aussie too, of course, and other currency pairs, by the way. But all right, last but not least, the euro dollar made a good 5-minute candle. Now we're chasing. Bearish 5-minute candle. So let's take a look at the 1-minute chart. I don't do that often, as I said, but if it's a momentum against me, there are 2 momentums at the moment, actually 3, down, up, and down. So that is not looking that that is a bit disadvantage of this chart at the moment. That's why, let's see, that could be already a good 1 minute signal here at the 50 fib. But maybe it's getting a bit too much in details, really. Could be a good long at this moment. But overall, it's not, yeah, it could be. It could be. I'm not convinced enough maybe to take it, to be honest. Let me take a look at the 5 minute chart here. Nah, I think I'll skip it. It is a good 5 minute candle, but now we have, again, a retracement against it. It's too much retracement, and I'm going to let it be. I think if it does still break above it, maybe on a 5 minute chart, it could be worth it to trade a break, pull back, go, or if it does go deeper, maybe still. Overall, though, it's not a great trend, so I'll be rather a bit more cautious. Pound USD is ranging, going flat. This break to the upside is a counter trend trade, not that interesting. Dollar yen, pound yen, euro yen, waiting for breaks to the downside. Otherwise, it's counter trend, not that interesting. Aussie, let's see, 15-minute chart was bearish. This candle, last 15. So there could be a new breakout below this fractal here. But from my perspective, I think if you're in the trade, you put your stop loss there. If you're not in the trade, I think it needs a bit bigger pullback. I'd like to see it move up here and then turn. And then I think that a break of this trend line is good. That's a better short, to be honest. Kiwi looking for the pullback at this fib. That hasn't happened yet. Dollar CAD. Now we got a fractal in play. That could be a breakout level. Or if price gets lower, those could be breakouts. Last but not least, Euro odd and Euro New Zealand. Euro odd finally making that bounce. But kind of missing this zone right in here. Let's see if it, I would probably still think it's the same like the dollar CAD 2. Breakout level here, but potential for it to move lower as well to go to this target 158. That could be a bouncing spot too at this target 155.86. And then there's the pound CAD. Here it is. And it's breakout on the hourly. All right, I think that the pound CAD looks probably one of the better ones. The euro odd still looks good to me as well. The Kiwi looks good, I think. And those probably look the best, I think, to me. Euro odd and Kiwi. And pound CAD. Yeah. Those are my 2 cents. Any questions? I've been talking for a long time, so I can imagine that you didn't catch everything there probably. Any questions that you might have as a follow-up? But in the meantime, we've got more webinars this week. Tomorrow's strategy, same time, same place. And then in the evening, taking a look at the divergence in the MACD. Let's see. Thursday, we're taking a look at applying profit stops and trade management. That's the lineup of this week. So I hope to see you in one of these webinars. No questions? Great. All right. Thank you so much for being here, folks. I try to be as much to the point as I can in these webinars, but sometimes I digress about or dive into other details that I find interesting. So thanks for that patience, and well, wish you good trading and a good continuation of January. Okay, folks. See you soon. Cheers.